So I'm a senior lecturer at Schumaker College here in Devon, and I lecture broadly in the subjects of ecology and spirituality. And then I've had a kind of parallel career as a semi-professional folk musician. So Schumaker College was set up in the early 90s by an Indian sage and ecologist by the name of Satish Kumar. So the college exists to promote the cause of ecology, to say that there's a role for spirituality in the world, and to see where those two meet. But because it was set up by Satish, who comes from a Jain background, the college is set up very much on the principles of an ashram, so everybody contributes to the working of the college. So I've just come here from doing the washing up after lunch, and it has a flatter structure than your average university. So in a class, I won't stand there in front of serried ranks of sleeping students. We sit in a circle and we make time for silence and for self-reflection, and it's an amazing place. It's not my idea, but it's an idea we teach at the college, which is the idea of the sit spot. And this is to go and find in your locality somewhere where you can sit, and it's somewhere you feel comfortable and somewhere you're going to be safe. And for people who are listening and live in the inner city, that might be hard, but somewhere where you can go regularly at different times of the day, and ideally night. And you sit there and you just quieten your mind and you observe, and you notice what's happening around you, and you notice the bird life, the insect life, the sounds around you. You notice how you're responding. You notice the seasons, the weather. How are you feeling? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel uncomfortable? And you just keep returning to the sit spot at different times of the day, at different seasons, and you gradually get a picture. You build a relationship with place. You get to feel it. What's it like at dawn? What's it like at dusk? What's it like at midday or midnight? Who's around? When I say who's around, I mean the other than human people, the jackdaws, the pigeons, you know.
The fae?
The fae, perhaps. And I know people who do this at work in the inner city. They come out of their offices, and when their friends and colleagues go and have a cigarette, they go and sit in their sit spot for 10 minutes. And it's a profound practice, and you just start to... You remember I was talking about this bardic art of paying attention. That's what you're doing. You're freely giving your attention to the world about you. You're putting your phone down. You're not worrying about work or relationships or all that stuff, and you're listening in the wider sense of listening to what's going on around you. And I'm aware there's a crow cawing away in the background. Exactly that. So paying attention. Okay, there's a crow. What's it doing? Where's it going? What's it up to? And then you start to deepen these connections with the world about you. It sounds very trivial. It's not. It's really profound if you do it regularly as a practice. We've created a world in which everything's at one remove. So I go down to the petrol station and I put petrol in my car, and I've no idea what the effect of that petrol has had on the world or will have on the world. I just go to the shop, I get the nozzle, stick it in the car, boom, off I go, and it's always there, and I don't have to worry about it. It's great. Because capitalism has created the system whereby the oil is maybe extracted in the Amazon, and I don't get to see the toxic waste pits and the illnesses that are caused, etc., 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 nor will I see the immediate effects of the climate warming that burning the petrol has had. So there is this fundamental structural problem which keeps us like this, and I think encourages us to be narcissists and to keep worrying about things that aren't important, like soap operas and, you know, reality TV and all that stuff. We absolutely have to find a way in which we can be reverential of the world. That doesn't mean we all have to become druids or whatever, but we do at least have to acknowledge that there is no world, there is no humanity without the world. It's not just a backdrop. We're intimately interpenetrated with it, that everything we do affects it, and everything that happens there affects us. And we can't separate ourselves out. We can't just, like in Blade Runner, exist in these sort of toxic cities in the middle of wasteland living on insects. There will be no world. I think what people feel is that going along with the ecologic crisis that we're facing is a crisis of meaning. And where does that come from? It's partly, I think, that our traditional meaning making institution was Christianity, and church attendance is just plummeting, and that doesn't answer people's needs anymore. People, in the light of scientific understanding, don't buy it anymore. The idea of freeing yourself of sin for an eternal life after death just seems to have no resonance. And what's filled that gap is capitalism. And it says, just keep buying stuff. Don't worry about it. Just keep buying stuff. Here, have some more stuff. Whatever you want, you can have it. Here you are. Just fill that hole. And so we buy stuff. We click on the button and it arrives and we get a little dopamine hit and we feel great. And then it lasts a day, 2 days, and then we want something else. And capitalism says, don't worry, keep going, keep going. Now, if there were a way in which I could magically get people to break free from that, if I knew what it was. I've tried it through music. Psychedelics have obviously done that for me. All I know is that there's a hunger for it. People know that they're missing something. And because I'm a scholar of religion, I would hate to I would hate to prescribe any kind of one singular remedy. And I think there's room for atheists in this, there's room for theists, there's room for people who are spiritual, not religious. That's why I use this term meaning, but there's this hunger for meaning. And all I would do is just encourage people to pursue it, to listen to that part of you that goes, this is not enough, my life is empty. It comes back to this paying attention. Maybe rather than paying attention to how I look and the superficialities, if we start paying attention to how we feel, so turning our attention inwards. And yeah, I'm not happy in this shit job, I'm not happy in my relationship, I'm not happy on social media, then what can we do about it? And the revolution, I think, is not going to come from any one person with a red book or with a communist manifesto. It's going to erupt like a mycelium as people go, I need to break out of this is madness. And that might come through psychedelics, but it might come through a sit spot, or it might just come through one day realizing that this is horseshit, that there's got to be more to life than this. So I'm sorry that I haven't answered your question, because I wish I knew was the answer. But my hope is that if enough people are talking about it and saying, the story we're fed, and that there is just a world of matter, of particles bouncing around like billiard balls, and there's no meaning, and don't worry about it, just get on with it. It makes no sense, there's no logic to it. So follow that urge. It could lead you to Buddhism, it could lead you to shamanism, it could lead you to just going for long solitary walks in the mountains. I don't care, but follow that inner voice, listen to it, pay attention.